Welcome to the greatest of the greatest. A podcast that you never knew you needed. With interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice. Asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Fullbuddy Cast.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the episode of Fullbuddy Cast. Oh, man. Let me just tell you this right now. Last night we went out. We celebrated the Fullbuddy Friday. It's a Saturday morning, 10 a.m., 10:30. I'm still feeling it. Had to drive my wife to work. So we're going to get into the intro. My voice is shot. I'm going to do a little bit of a recap. We got a guest. And then we're going to go from there. Okay? So first and foremost, shout out. Go visit Cole Street Brewery, 1627 Cole Street, Enumclaw, Washington, 98022. I was out there last night. We met with, so Shane, Aaron, and I recorded a podcast, hour and 45 minute. I got to cut it down. Hilarious. Then we went to Mazatlan. Shout out Andy. People that came. Desi, obviously. Jamie, obviously my wife. Aaron, Shane. Carrie Bentley, because Craig's down in California. We met Tara Nelson and Ernie Nelson. They're from the Enumclaw discussion board. First time ever meeting them. That was a pretty fun time. And then Andy Ward and I just blanked on his wife's name. But anyway, had a great time. Had a great time with them. We hit up. We weren't able to hit up Bordeaux, but Jamie and I went to Bordeaux a few nights prior for her birthday night. Saw Sid and everyone. So Bordeaux. Sorry we didn't see you that night, but hey, we supported you a couple nights prior. Anyway, go visit Cole Street. Say hi to Sean. Tag yourself in. Hashtag FullBuddyCast. Show him. Get 15% off your drinks. Go to Bordeaux Wine Bar. Same deal. Hashtag FullBuddyCast on the check-in. Get a $2 off your first flight or drink. Then go to Enumclaw. Mazatlan. Don't go to the South Hill one, but you can and say hi to Poncho. I don't think he's going to give you anything, but definitely say hi to Andy. FullBuddyCast, and he'll hook you up with something. It always is different with him, whatever he feels like. Sometimes he's generous. Sometimes he's like, yeah, no, you're already getting free chips and salsa, pal. No, he'll still get you. He'll get you something. But, man, then after all that, we went to Cole Street, had a few beers, talked, chatted. Then I showed Tara and Ernie, because they don't go to Enumclaw. They live out in Maple Valley, so they don't come over here too much, but the board game shop, he actually works for Wizards of the Coast. And he works in some of the video game development that they've been doing. Not a lot of games, but he said that he worked on some. He's been there for like so many years. I forget. Like he's kind of had a hand at some point in everything. I think Magic is with Wizards of the Coast. And didn't even realize the guest that I have on today, that we could talk more about that as well. Anyway, then we went out, Maui Room. Well, we went to Cedars for a bit. Aaron sang, had a great time. Then went to the Cedars, or then went to Maui Room. Ended it there. Oh yeah, shout out to James and Katri. That's the other thing. James and Katri was there the entire time. I know. I'm like, who am I forgetting? I sat by them. Shout out to James and Katri. They came out too. They're so nice. It's so good to hang out with them. In fact, Aaron called me this morning, a few minutes ago, and he's like, dude, that James guy, nonstop smiling, ear to ear, having a great time. I said, I know, the guys they're both just a blast to hang with. They just never have a bad attitude ever. They're always in a good mood. So, shout out to them. Katri also being a Patreon as well. Appreciate them. And I'm gonna get the Patreons. I've been usually saving it for the end, typically, but I'm gonna go for the right now. And by the way, guys, if you're listening, please join Fullbuddy Cast on Patreon. $5 a month would help me out tremendously with all my dumb stuff that I do, as well as NFL bets and just the money that I spend. But I would appreciate it. just give me just one person. If you're listening, go to Patreon, Fullbuddy Cast, throw it on there. There's different tiers, $5, $10, whatever, but just choose 5 if you want. Please, just right now. Pause it, do it. I'm begging right now. All right, we got Kellen Hall, Holly Graff, Adam Kenny Art, Seth Loop, Cassie Spencer, Amanda Keating, Shekinah Sarver, Jared Skelly, Homer Robertson, Ben Illman, Jamie Roberts, Jamie Kenny, Apollo Doodle, Jackson Syduk, Sasha Carey Lynn from Edison City Ale House in Tacoma, Washington, Thomas Savageau, Councilman Anthony Wright, Sage Hills Golf and RV Resort, real estate agent Cameron Stratton. Going to go see him in a few hours. He does, him and Ben Craighead do a great thing where they do free Christmas trees for anyone that's got a mortgage with Ben, or maybe sold or bought a house through Cameron. They'd love it. And then we also got Katri Hoban, who I mentioned before, and Homer the Vet. Check them out on YouTube, Facebook, the works. All right. I got to crack this White Claw mango because I need a little hair of the dog a little bit. Just enough to kind of get through this, because I got a semi-decent friend. I posted about him the other night when we went to Bordeaux Wine Bar. He was there. Jamie's best friend, Jordan, was there. And then my semi-decent friend, Nicholas Lane. Nick, what up, my man?
It is an honor to be in the presence of the King of Call Street, as always.
Thank you. Kiss the ring. Kiss the ring. But, no, we got Nick on. We've had him on in the past. This is his second or third one. We've talked golf. We've talked basketball. We'll get more into that with the basketball aspect. I think we actually talked about the time that you sold, like right when COVID hit, you sold your Magic collection from when you were how old when you started collecting those cards?
I started playing when I learned how to play when I was 13. And I started actually going to a shop when I was around 14. I've bought and sold over the years. That's pretty common as a collecting / playing in the game. But yes, 1 month before COVID shut down, obviously the U.S., I did sell all of my high-end cards. And
can you say how much?
History.
Can you say how much? Just say upwards of
over 20,000.
Now, I'm sure you watched it, because when COVID shut down, I'm going to say more than likely that collection at some point probably could have been sold for a little bit more.
That is correct. It definitely took a skyrocket approach in those times, because when you don't have anything really to do and you get, some kind of a stimulus in some kind of way, or you're just at home and you're working and you have nothing else better to spend your money on outside of your bills, then yes, you will go to collectibles. I would say one way or another, whether it's, basketball, football, or just figurines or whatever you decide to collect. But Magic especially did take off quite a bit after I sold. Yes.
It's probably back to what it was worth at this point. I think everything kind of went, like you said, skyrocketed up, and now it's kind of took it back to normal.
Yes. Yeah. Prices for in Magic's world, they call it the reserve list, because there is a certain time period where they decided to stop printing cards that were very valuable, and they've bended it a little bit over the years, but it's still pretty tried and true. But that is the biggest reason why the game still has that high collectible market in it.
Well, did you invest that money? A poker player? Did you go take some of that money and play poker with it, or did you purchase anything with it? Was it help with any? I know that you guys were buying houses and flipping houses a little bit.
I purchased my first home with my down payment with that money.
Nice.
That was a blessing to be able to to do that and afford, other things that after you move in to be able to, essentially call it a home.
So no regrets.
Absolutely no regrets. And obviously the real estate market is
A lot
it's
more
just
of
great. Yeah. That short-term gain where the Magic collection, if I would have waited, has definitely the real estate market has outweighed those pros for
Nice.
the Magic part.
Now Nick is also in the fantasy football league, the league that matters. Love having him in the league. He plays a great heel, I would say. If this is he in his brain probably thinks that he's just like one of the owners. But the thing is that he came in strong. He makes big time pickup of the year. He makes bold statements early on, and it definitely was some trash talk. And then he kind of backed it up with just a good, solid winning lineup year in and year out. Which was then again when you see someone making these trash talk not the entire time. He's not just sitting on the Sunday couch, just talking trash. But I got that guy, I stole that guy out of there. You guys should have got him. I was the one that saw him. Stuff like that, and then he's winning. It doesn't go over well with the other owners. Other owners are like, we want to beat this guy. And then this year, I swindled him last year. He was going for, I didn't really swindle him, but it hurt him this year. I got his second round pick and he didn't make the championship.
That's because Josh Allen decided not to know how to throw a football anymore. It's essentially how it worked.
Yeah. That's what happened. And then I am leading the league, crushing it with my second round pick. Was able to get a few other. I think I got
that was Travis Etienne is
Yeah.
who my pick that you used, where I kind of didn't think it was a good pick at the time, and he struggled to start the season, but he's been on an absolute tear.
Yeah.
And it's really put you in a higher number one spot in the league.
Yeah, I had Trevor Lawrence for a while. I traded away Kenneth Walker, who I also was able to get at a recently valued price. Traded him, and I can't remember somebody else for Matt Breida, which I really didn't want, but I got Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes not doing as well, but Trevor low performance, not Trevor Lawrence. Trevor low performance. He's hurting. In fact, I would love to trade him to somebody to maybe get even an 8th round pick for next year. I like having those multi picks, but I got to keep him on the roster just in case something happens to Pat Mahomes. But
I kind of helped started a trend in your league when it came to talking about trading future draft picks.
Yeah.
Obviously, we treaded of how to do it correctly, and I think we got it right.
Yes,
but I reached a point in year one in your league that my team was going nowhere, and I decided to sell off my good players.
Yes.
And that gave me a good draft position last year, which I went for it, and of course it didn't work out. This year, I drafted Cooper Kupp, gets hurt in preseason. I start out really bad. I didn't have a second round pick either, which was pretty terrible.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I got off to a bad start, but I was able to sell Cooper Kupp at a extremely high premium, especially when Matthew Stafford now is hurt, and there's not really good players. A good quarterback, I would say, to throw to a Cooper Kupp that's so great in PPR, but when you have a Brett Rippon or maybe Carson Wentz, is possible that he might be doing it. So I sold him off at the right time, and I turned him into DK Metcalf and a second round pick for a 15th round pick in Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And I was able to sell off DK Metcalf as well to be able to get an extra third. So I guess I've gone 1 year bad, 1 year pretty good, 1 year bad, and now next year I'm going to be loaded with with so many picks. And obviously, shout out to Chris Shape. I do have Kyler Murray. You got Joe Burrow out for the year. My text or my DM is open. I am happy to make a deal with you, sir.
Oh man,
that's why you scour the waiver wire in the early weeks, because apparently Arizona still wants to obviously build around him. And he just came back last week and he looked pretty decent. So it looks like he's gonna play out the year for Kyler Murray. And I already have CJ Stroud, so I don't really have to play Kyler Murray.
Right.
And so that's another thing. Like I drafted Bryce Young late in the draft because I was like, well, give it a shot. CJ Stroud had one good game, and then all of a sudden this Texas offense looks really good. So I sniped him up really fast, and it has worked out really well with CJ Stroud.
Yeah, and so for all those people listening that are super enthralled with fantasy football, you're probably like, this is great. And for the other people are like, they're fast forward to this part. But we're going to talk basketball right now, so buckle in. Now, I don't know anything about basketball anymore. I used to be a huge basketball fan. In fact, I accidentally attended the WNBA championship parade in Vegas when I walked. Me and Jamie, we walked from one hotel casino property to the next, and all of a sudden they shut down the road. And next thing I know, I'm like, what's going on? Like, the cops. I'm like, what's going on with and they're like, oh, this is the WNBA championship parade for the Las Vegas Aces. So I'm like, I'm out of the buses go by. They're throwing towels. They're throwing shirts. It's like all the WNBA players, probably about 4 or 5, 6 buses went by. No clue what's going on. Then we're going back to Vegas in December, the same weekend as the in-season tournament that I have zero clue about. Don't even know, like the championships being played the day that we're there. I don't even know what's going on.
We asked. I talked to you about this on Wednesday night when we hung out, and I want to see how much you remembered of part of this conversation. Who did the Las Vegas Aces beat to win the WNBA title?
No clue. No clue. The loss. Okay. Well, no, I don't. I mean,
I did say the name of the team, and I did say that that team has one pretty good name in the WNBA. I can't remember it right now, but I know the team.
Los Angeles Sharks, and I don't know. On top of that, again, does Cheryl Swoops play for him? Like, is that
Cheryl Swoops is retired a long time ago.
Yeah. What's Reggie Miller's sister's name? Does she play for him? Sue Bird, Kelly, and Rapinoe.
I believe Sue Bird might still play in the league. Or she just retired. Yeah.
I know that.
So they beat the New York Liberty.
Oh, okay. Liberty, Liberty.
Liberty,
Bibberty. Anyway, so we're going to talk basketball. I don't know much about it. But I do know that you've got a pretty cool thing that we're going to get to. But why are the Clippers losing all the time? Why does it seem like the Clippers are nonstop? The Los Angeles Clippers, why can they not? They got what? Kevin Harden? They got Jeff Harden? They got James Harden. Why are they losing all the time? They should have even though he's a baby, he gives up halfway through a season, he gets traded, he gets fat, he wears a fat suit. And then he moves on to the next team. He implodes there. Owners pick him up still, thinking that they're gonna use him. He gets upset. He doesn't work or doesn't want to play for him anymore. He pouts. He goes to strip clubs. Spends all his money. He goes on to the next one.
He says that his general manager is a liar multiple times, which is Daryl Morey, which he was with him in Houston for so many years.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Daryl Morey goes to Philly. He's a general manager of Philly, and he's calling him a liar like multiple times in the offseason, just begging to get traded. Again, the Los Angeles Clippers. So I watched them opening night against Portland. Portland's really bad this year. They are rebuilding. They traded Damian Lillard. They're going to be just a bottom feeder team in the West, probably for a couple of seasons. And I watched this because I played in a fantasy basketball league, 14-team league, hyper competitive, really trade heavy, lots of action going on. So opening night, I'm at my buddies, and we're watching the Clippers in Portland. The Clippers blew them out. It was pretty typical to see. And, they have Russell Westbrook on a minimum contract because he's done with his big contract after OKC gave him this massive one, and he got traded a couple of times since. 3 times in that contract he got traded. They looked really good. Paul George was healthy. Kawhi Leonard has been healthy this season so far, which is a miracle because he has been very injured for the last few years. Westbrook was looking like he was wanting to pass first compared to shooting way more that he has been in the past. And they were getting up and down the floor. They were in the open floor, getting in the fast break, and they were making good plays. Then they trade for James Harden. When you're moving up and down the floor, Westbrook's not this selfish player, and Paul George and Kawhi are enough to get you through some playoff series. You trade for the biggest ball stopper in the league. It slows down your offense. James Harden is not this up and down player like he used to be in Houston. And when you have enough in Kawhi and Paul George to get you through the season, plus into playoff series to win even playoff series, you have essentially erased Westbrook's ability to be this actually a really good cog in your system where James Harden kind of clogs it, right? So now they did just get back Terrence Mann, which is a really good shooting guard who I would say he's a good shooter, a good defender, but he's not a ball handler. So yes, James Harden is this ball handler, but you can't play Westbrook in crunch time anymore because you have Harden, Mann. Ivica Zubac is their starting center, and of course you have George and Kawhi. So now you can only play Westbrook limited minutes, and you have a much slower paced offense compared to Westbrook being the maniac that you actually want him to be, because you don't want Westbrook to be your best player. You don't want Westbrook to be your second best player.
But are you done with Westbrook at this time? Like, why are you an owner still picking up Westbrook? Or not Westbrook, sorry, I'm thinking Harden.
He's still can shoot really well. He's a great free throw shooter, okay defender, but he's still a really good passer.
He's a cancer to the team.
He is a cancer when it comes to chemistry.
Yes.
On the floor, he can still play really well. You just have to be able to cater to his version of the offense. And I think with this Clippers team, they had enough talent with those three guys, and they didn't need Harden. Yeah, they didn't give up a lot in the deal. They gave up Nick Batum, Covington, their best days are behind them. Marcus Morris, who might be on a list that we'll talk about later on. And they gave up one of their last future first-round picks they can give up because the Oklahoma City Thunder owns almost every shred of the Clippers' future because of that Paul George trade in 2019. And now look at the Thunder. They are going to be a 50-win team this year. They are really, really, really good.
Do you put any NBA bets on anything? Like, did you put a 50, like that they're going to win over 50 or 60
I didn't
games?
get a chance to put any future bets in this season, but last season I did predictably put in a bet that the Nuggets would win the Western Conference last year, and they made it to the finals. So that bet actually
paid
worked
off
before the season started last year when we were in Vegas for your birthday celebration.
So what did you see there at that time that you knew the Nuggets were going to go all the way, and then you made that bet?
They were healthy. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, they were healthy. And that was the big thing. Jamal Murray blew out his ACL at the end of the 21 season, I believe. So they needed that because when Jokic played in the first round versus Golden State a couple playoffs ago, they just quadruple teamed him triple teamed because they had nobody else around him to be able to get the pressure off Jokic. And it worked. They beat him in 5 games. And all of a sudden their guys are healthy. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and they get KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for a pretty cheap amount. And they have the shooting, they have the defense, they have the teamwork. They're all unselfish. Even Nikola Jokic, who in my opinion is the best player in the NBA, period. Even better than Luka Doncic. So this Denver team just works. So that was a thing that I took into a lot of account, where Vegas put the Clippers at the beginning of last season as the favorite to win the West.
So did you make 1, 2, 3, 4 times your bet? You don't have to say what it was and what it was, but were they already favored a little bit?
It was like 6 or 7 times my bet, I think it was. I didn't put a lot of money down. It's not like I'm a genius.
It's like a $10, $20 thing.
It was like a $30 to win like 160 or something. It was something like that.
It's just enough to make it.
And it was fun. It was intriguing to watch. And I did put a bet for Rookie of the Year last year. I picked the second place guy behind Paolo Banchero. I was really rooting for it, but at the end of the year, Paolo Banchero did win Rookie of the Year. But I did come close on that one. That paid a little bit better on odds. So I guess to go back to the original question about James Harden is you have to cater your offense to isolation basketball. And honestly, in today's NBA with so much high scoring, you're not going to get to high scoring by playing isolation ball. You're going to be passing the ball around. You're going to be shooting a lot of threes. Where Harden, he's really great at breaking people down off the dribble, but other 4 people are standing around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue is.
And that's why I don't watch basketball. For that reason.
It's a little boring for you to watch on TV in that sense, right? I mean, but in person, you're kind of watching it in person going, why does he do this? Like why can't he go within the rhythm of the offense? Why can't he go up and down the floor with the offense? Where Westbrook, even though, he's not a great shooter, he tries the most almost out of anybody in the league. He's like the craziest defender out there, and he just runs to the rim as fast as possible. But he's out of control. He's not a great free throw shooter in crunch time. So there's aspects where he's not great. But when you don't need him to be the best player, he's actually really good.
I think for me, once the Sonics left, when the Sonics come back, because they're scheduled to come back.
Rumored, yes.
Rumored to be scheduled to come back. That maybe I'll get back into the NBA. Because here's the thing. I didn't care about hockey. We get the Kraken. Now I kind of watch hockey. I created fantasy basketball with my cousins without even knowing that there was fantasy basketball back in the day, where we would get, you pick your player, point guard, shooting guard, power forward, small forward, and center.
Yep.
And then what I'll do, and we're going to pick them at the beginning of the season. And we used to call each other on the phone, and I was probably like, 10, 11, 12 with my cousin. And I would just get the box scores out of the newspaper and just go, okay, Charles Barkley's got 20 points and 8 rebounds. And that is, and we would just do that. And I had a paper. This is before Excel spreadsheets. And we just write it out. We'd always get like maybe 3 months in, and by that point,
it's too much work.
It's too much work. Yeah. One person's winning so much, it's like, okay, we're kind of done with it at this point.
Because they picked Michael Jordan, you're like, oh, I'll get Rex Chapman.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was into it big time. I love basketball. Basketball was life. I had the No Fear T-shirt. Basketball was life. Everything else is just details. It's like I played basketball all the time. I owned the jerseys. I got the Sean Kemp haircut. I loved.
Even still now, you probably have a little part of you that is hurt because Dikembe Mutombo is holding the ball.
Yes.
On the
free throw, on the ground, in the court. We were the best team in the NBA. They beat us, I think, 3-2. No, I think maybe they swept us. They didn't sweep us. No, I think they beat us.
It was a best of 5 series in those times. So yes, 3-2.
3-2, and it was just rough, man. That whole thing was rough. I mean, I still got the Sonics Bulls finals, where they were. I got even probably some there. We got a snapshot hanging up right there.
That was the 72 win season Bulls too, and they took them to 6 games.
Yeah, it was such a great time. And then I remember the day Gary Payton got traded. I remember the day that Sean Kemp got traded. I hated Vin Baker. Jim McElvain, I couldn't stand.
Terrible.
We just fell apart. I used to,
Ray Allen was really good, and so was Rashard Lewis. Yeah. Rashard Lewis was a 2nd-round pick. Barely anybody knew about him, and he became a multiple-time All-Star. Yeah, that was a big thing for the Sonics.
Solid player. Even prior to all that, Kendall Gill. Like it was fun to see Hersey Hawkins, Detlef Schrempf, Sam Perkins, freaking Nate McMillan. We just had fun guys to watch, solid team, and then I even like Frank Bukowski. Like it was just like there was players that I was just like, even freaking Steve Scheffler. Like it was fun to watch these guys play. So you saw the potential we had. We were good. Then you start to make trades and start to fall apart a little bit. You have to rebuild.
Then they draft Kevin Durant.
Things are looking good again. And then they're gone. And so I started thinking about this. I'm like, well, I used to watch NASCAR a lot because Casey Kane was in it. I had a dog in the race, Now I don't watch it as much. If it's on, maybe I'll watch a little bit. Maybe I might bet it. Back basketball never really brought me back. They got close with the Golden State Warriors. They got close with LeBron on the Heat, as well as LeBron on the Cavs, where I hated him and I wanted to see him lose. So that brought me out to like, okay, I'm going to root against this guy.
You were totally for Golden State during those years.
Completely for Golden State. Loved that frickin' what's his name? I can see his dumb. What's his face? The guy just. There we go. Say it.
Are we talking Draymond Green or are we talking Steph Curry?
Steph Curry.
Okay.
Steph Curry just 5 feet behind the 3-point line. Crack, splash, and Splash Brothers, all that. Fun. Draymond Green, he was like the Dennis Rodman in the sense where he's a hard player, but you like him, but you hate him, but you like him, and you can see why you like him.
And he did that this week by choking out Rudy Gobert and getting 5-game suspension, too.
That's the type of guy that he is. He's a hard, tenacious player. So I can see getting drawn back in, but I need a dog in the race. And so when the Sonics come back, I'll probably be right back into it. I don't watch NCAA basketball too much until there's a tournament, and I've got my bracket, so I have interest in it.
But the thing is, nowadays, most of the best prospects don't play in college anymore.
Well, they play overseas. Yeah.
LaMelo Ball played overseas. Victor Wembanyama, who was the number 1 overall pick, the best prospect, considered the best prospect ever to come out of the NBA draft, and not in college.
Yeah.
Zion was the biggest name that came out of college in the last few years as a number 1 overall pick. Cade Cunningham was in 2021, but he wasn't like this big mega name where Zion Williamson is.
And it seems like college basketball rarely translates into the NBA as easily. You look at who was the guy on Gonzaga? That was back when I was, in my 20s or whatever.
Adam Morrison.
And he played in the NBA for a few years, but he definitely wasn't the type of player in the NBA that he was in college.
There's 2 good current players that came from Gonzaga in recent years. Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs.
How's Chet Holmgren transitioning into it?
He's crushing it this year.
Is he crushing?
He's absolutely crushing it.
Did it help that he was injured for a year in a sense to kind of like?
I think it helped him be able to learn the NBA game, what it takes to be a pro, get workouts in, maybe change his body a tiny bit. I mean, he's obviously still really thin. That's just what it's going to be for his height, but he was able to improve his skill set and become this elite. We're talking top 3 shot blocker in the NBA, and he's only 20 years old.
And isn't he pretty good on the old 3-point line as well?
Yes, he has a good shot for his height. He was drafted number 2 overall in last year's draft behind Paolo Banchero by the Oklahoma City Thunder, Zombie Sonics.
Yeah.
So he has a bright future ahead of him.
If the Sonics come back, which I hope they do, and I hope they name them the Sonics.
I believe they do. In the deal, when they moved to Oklahoma City, they got to keep their records and they got to keep their name and colors, I believe.
So then at that point, we can pull all of that history back towards us when we get a team in Seattle.
Yes.
All right. Now I'm back in it. I don't want it to be like this, the Seattle, I'm looking at Callaway's Super Softs. I want the Seattle Supersonics. Okay, I want them back. I need them back.
Well, one of the number 1 players in the league that really wants him back is Kevin Durant himself.
So, all right. So once basketball gets going again, I'll probably get back into it. Man, I used to buy all the NBA, the all ugly team. That I think Slam would come out with the all ugly team every once in a while, and once a year. I just everything basketball I consumed it, NBA Inside stuff, but then once it's gone.
I would say a player you should, at least if you are able to watch San Antonio Spurs basketball, which I know is you're going to take a nap. I understand they're really boring. I get it.
Tim Duncan.
Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, you're ready to just take a nap. Yeah, Tim Duncan's the start of that, even though he is the best power forward of all time.
The bank shots he could hit were insane.
The player you would want to watch in today's NBA to follow his career is Victor Wembanyama. 7 feet 4 inches tall, 7'8" wingspan, can hit the three, can take some guys off the dribble a little bit, and the second he gets in the post and he has the position, he gets thrown a lob that it looks like a lob, but it looks like it's just a pass to him. He can just catch it and just flip it over his head because he's 7'4" as a 19-year-old, and he's skilled. When you're talking about that, there's no telling. You try to block that shot, Travis.
Forget it.
Can't do it.
Couldn't do it. I'd try. I blocked Brian Scalabrine once. I did.
That's impressive.
Well, that's when he was in the NBA.
He's an NBA player. It's impressive.
It's because we were playing in the EHS gym, and people were hanging off him, and he was trying to get a layup. Literally had like 3 guys hanging off him.
Just think of this. The ceiling here, right?
Yeah.
Wembanyama is probably releasing the ball that high, close to it. How can you block that shot?
You can't.
There's no way. And so when you see that, and he can hit a 3. He's a good free throw shooter for his height, which is actually incredible. There's no telling what he can be.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you stay away from foot injuries, ankle injuries, and knee injuries, we talked about but Yao Ming had a chance if he was younger to come into the NBA. Obviously, when he came in, he was a little older. But if he was a little younger and had less foot problems, we could have been taught. He could have been that comparison.
Or Greg Oden, or Greg
Oden.
Oden, but Oden is probably the specific because he looked 45,
and he had one knee that was not on the same. Like they weren't
symmetrically.
Yes.
The same height.
Yeah, and what's weird is during the draft combine in 2007 when that was Kevin Durant's draft at the Sonics, they measure these things. These are things that you're supposed to know, but yet they
went number
still
1, right?
took him number 1. Portland did, which is absolutely incredible because he didn't have this great work ethic. He was okay in college, but he was dominant in the national title game. So that was the only time he was absolutely incredible. Where Kevin Durant was National Player of the Year. He had the outside shot. He can dribble really well for his height. Yes, he was rail thin. That was going to fix itself, and it has over his career. Greg Oden's out of the league in 5-6 years,
Not
maybe.
even that, I don't think.
He only played 82 games, I believe, in his entire career, and Kevin Durant is still going as a really good player. He's not just a dude.
Right.
Just like LeBron is not just a dude, he's actually a really good player, even at 39, almost 40 years old that he's pushing here. And to me, this is with me being on the Rat Pack Sports Show I'm going on since 2016. I've been on this show. They're pretty against LeBron. They don't like him. They don't like him as a teammate. They think that there's too much that involves. He's too much of a James Harden type of player. They don't like him. But we keep talking historical context with him and Jordan, and I'm pro Jordan by all means. LeBron's at 4 titles. Jordan, of course, was 6-0 in the finals, dominant in every finals he was in. LeBron is going to pass him in every statistical category because he's been playing for way longer than Jordan has, and he has not had one major injury in his entire career. He's had, he's out a month or 2. He was out a few weeks. He's never had season injury.
Like he took a little bit of time to recover right before
but he's never had
run.
Season-ending surgery, and he's never blown out a knee. He's never broken a leg or anything like that. And he's going to pass him in every statistical category by the time whenever he decides to hang him up. We don't know when that's going to happen. But if he doesn't get to 6 titles, even if he's the towel waver at the end of the bench, if he doesn't get to 6 titles, I don't want to hear it. But if he gets to 6 titles, you can say he's above Jordan. That's how I have viewed it. What?
He's at 4 right now?
He's at 4. He won the bubble title with the Lakers, and that was the 2020 title. That was the last time.
Was that when they had Durant on it? No, wait. No, Durant went to the Golden State. He went to Golden State.
In 2016, I believe he went to Golden State. 2017? Durant did.
I think he went in 2021, 2020.
No, He left Golden State to go to Brooklyn.
For the entire, he's been at Brooklyn the entire time.
And then they traded him last trade deadline to go to Phoenix. So he's currently on Phoenix. Kevin Durant is. So he's with Devin Booker and he's with now Bradley Beal as well.
Okay, I'm looking him up. Do you want to? I haven't even seen it yet. Do you want to revise anything there?
Nope.
All right, 23-24 Phoenix, 22-23 Phoenix, 22-23 Brooklyn, 21-22 Brooklyn, 2021 Brooklyn. Oh, that's right. We didn't have a season for
2019 NBA Finals before COVID.
Yeah.
Is when he blew out his Achilles in the finals.
18-19, 17-18,
decided to.
and 16-17 he's with Golden State.
Then he decided to be a free agent to go sign with Brooklyn with Kyrie, and that was a disaster.
It's crazy on this KD stats for they have OKC for 07-08, which would be technically Seattle.
Yeah, correct. That's sad to see that.
Yeah. I'm going to fight him. All right. The last thing we're going to talk about in this episode, we're at 40 minutes. Can you believe it or not?
We're cruising.
Yeah. Anthony Bennet, your Anthony Bennet top 5. What does that mean? Or something like that.
So on the Rat Pack Sports Show.
Check it out on?
At Rat Pack Sports Show.
Is it on like Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube? You got a little something out there?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Check it out.
It is on those platforms. I have been their NBA insider since the 2016 season.
Calling everything, calling your shots. You knew who was going to be the rookie of the year. You knew who was going to be this. You knew who was going to be that. And they were like, wow. And then you knew who was going to be a bust. And then they were like, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about.
Anthony Bennet was the number 1 overall pick in the 2013 draft, which you don't care about that right now, but when you could have picked Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's on the Milwaukee Bucks, the really big guy that is the big, he's the really good player on the Milwaukee Bucks. He was drafted 15th overall. Anthony Bennet lasted maybe 4 years in the league, came out of UNLV, was supposed to be this Zion Williamson type player, was not even close to anything explosiveness of that, couldn't dribble, bad shooter, bad free throw shooter, all of it, didn't play good defense. He was out of the league in like 4 years. So they're considering him, Greg Oden, like a Michael Olakandi is like the biggest bust of all time. So I decided to come up with an all-star team of the 5 worst players in the NBA based off of how much they make and their performance on the floor.
I like this.
And you can look it up in the internet. That I know of, there is no other person that has come up with this. And the inspiration came, I was asked to go to a Blazer game, a few years back. And we're talking like 2018 maybe season. There is a player who's now the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. It goes full circle. Giannis is in the 2013 draft. He plays for Milwaukee. His head coach, Adrian Griffin, was an Anthony Bennet All-Star my first time doing it. I watched him play. He got like 4 fouls in 5 minutes, didn't do anything on the floor, didn't get the ball passed to him. He was just a waste. And so I was just laughing, watching this going, there's got to be something here. And so I decided to start looking for just like who are the worst players in the league based on how much they make. And I have done now 5 articles. I only write 1 article for Rat Pack a year at the end of the regular season. And I have what I call the quest for the Anthony Bennet All-Stars.
So then have you ever done I think we talked about this and I'm sure you told me and I probably remember a little bit, but did you ever do a preseason preliminary who you might think at the end of the season make the Anthony Bennet top 5 All-Stars?
I have not written it, no, but I do look at contracts and how long their contracts are for and if they get bought out or not in the offseason. If they don't and they're still just at the end of the bench doing nothing and they're making $17-18 million a year, yes, there's players that exist like that, then they are on my radar 100%.
And I think I would like to see you I challenge you at this moment right now. Season just started, like a month ago maybe?
Yeah, we're like 11 games into the season.
I challenge you to put together 10 potential Anthony Bennet finalists that you think, because that would be really cool to see how if you were able to nail that at the end of the season.
So we're talking like to send you a text and just tell you like
Put the list together. You don't have to get super detailed on it. You don't even have to write a paper on it.
Yeah.
Just give me 10 names.
And then you watch for them, how bad they're going to be during the season and see how it can be rated.
I won't pay attention at all until you write that
Keep
blog.
in mind the article each year I only go for the top 5.
That's what I'm saying.
And I have the John Tesh NBA on NBC from the 90s theme music that I do every year. I find the YouTube video of him performing in Vegas, and he talks about how he came up with the song, and then he performs it. So I put that video at the start. I put like a little start of my article, and then I put the video in saying like John Tesh has been in a cave for the last year.
Yeah.
He's ready to go. He's going to play the song, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the theme song. So yeah, it's like Marv Albert and the old school Ahmad Rashad hosting the NBA on NBC, and it's like the so that's just how I've always wanted to view being funny in an article. And I mean, I'm not an expert analysis when it comes to writing it. I do put a few paragraphs explaining why they're so bad, how much they make, and how they are just so bad on the team, and like how they shouldn't even be in the league at that point. And that's a gist of what I say, but I do like to put some puns in it. It is a lot of fun. We do once I write it, we talk about it on the show. We go through each player one by one, and we have a really good time with it. It's a lot of fun.
I love that. So send it over. I got to see it. And I think you've inspired me to try it for fantasy football. I think there's players that I avoid, and there's players that I think aren't going to do well. There's other players I think are going to be great, like Raheem Mostert. I was like, I think with Tua healthy, Raheem Mostert is going to be able to come out. Now,
Great late round pick.
I had no clue that the other guy, Ashane, or whatever, I can't even say his name.
Devon Achane.
He was going to be as good as he was. But when you got a healthy Tua and you got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that's going to definitely free up the
good offensive line.
Yeah, the running game. So
an aggressive coach too.
Yeah,
you got to have
McDaniels.
that.
Is it McDaniels?
No.
What's his name? I just went blank. I see his face. I'm thinking of McDaniels from the Raiders. What's the guy's name? I know exactly. Okay.
Is it McDaniel?
That might be McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel. There you go.
But he, anyway, they look good. I put money on the Bengals and the Saints to be in the Super Bowl. I felt like that the Saints defense was healthy. They were playing very terrible quarterbacks in the regular season. No, not a top 5 elite quarterback. I think only one was Trevor Lawrence, and he's been underperforming. So, and I felt like the combination that the Bengals have been able to put together, they seem more consistent than the Bills or even the Chiefs, where the Bills, Josh Allen matches his opponent quarterback style. It's crazy. So if he goes up against a terrible quarterback, then he's garbage. He literally is garbage. And then if he goes up against a great quarterback, then he's the best quarterback you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, this guy's amazing. He just can't get away from that. And Mahomes, he seems lately a little slower, a little less production. They don't really have a solid running back. Once they lost Tyreek Hill,
I think Pacheco's pretty good.
Pacheco's good, but he's not. He's like, you could get 100
really
yards.
He's really mid. That's what you're saying.
He's mid. There you go. He could get 110 yards one game and then get like 27 the next game. Like he's not. You don't rely on him. You rely on Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You've got, in my opinion, too many mid pedestrian wide receivers for the Chiefs as well. I used to have Tyreek Hill, just bomb it out to him, and then that would free up other people, but right, you got Kadarius Toney, you got freaking Juju Smith-Schuster, you've got
This Rice rookie guy.
that.
He's not bad.
Not bad. He's got potential. I think he's got potential. But other than that, I mean, so I don't think the Chiefs are as good as they actually really can be. Their defense is garbage. So anyway, I thought the Bengals had a good shot, and I thought the Saints had a good shot for the value of the bet.
Would you tank for Caleb Williams if you obviously towards the bottom of the league? Yes, but do you believe in Caleb Williams going forward?
I believe in Bo Nix. I believe in even Penix Jr. But Caleb Williams, that's it. That's like saying the same thing with Adam Morrison. It just seems like there's some quarterbacks that can translate into a good NFL quarterback from college. And there's other ones that just, they can't figure it out. Like, it's not, the offense isn't built around them. They're used to being the top dog. Look at Trevor Lawrence as a perfect example.
So is Bryce Young. He's really struggled this year in Carolina.
Yes. There's a lot of pressure. Usually you're getting a team that's garbage anyways. I think one of the things with the Chiefs, Mahomes is obviously talented, but when they drafted him, they didn't even play him. They didn't have to rely on him the first year. I think he was backing up whoever it was, I forgot his name, snapped his leg, then went on to go play for the Commanders and then retired.
Alex Smith.
I think he sat behind Alex Smith for almost an entire season. And so I think that helps. I think that helps a quarterback. I would love to see us get a Bo Nix or a Penix where they can sit behind Geno for 1 year.
Why not bolster the defense and get the offensive line right when you still have a good enough quarterback? You don't have to have great, but you have good enough because you do have an elite receiver, of course, in DK Metcalf, who can be that game-changing receiver.
I think that we need to get back to what we did to play when we played well. We need to take an underperforming running back. I would almost take like a James Cook that's in Buffalo, kind of like how we took Marshawn Lynch. I would, because at that, I would put maybe even a Josh Jacobs. I feel like he's kind of underperforming for the Raiders at this moment.
He'll be seeking a new contract too.
Yeah, and then I just say we just do the same thing. Like you just got to power up on it. Just get a solid running back that is underperforming at the moment but has potential. Beef our offensive line up a little bit. Russell Wilson was a good game manager, but he wasn't like, he's just got that, like, if he gets knocked down, he's going to get back up, and you need that mentality. So I think that's where he was good at, but I don't think he was an elite. I mean, he did some great things. He almost has the same exact stat line his first 8 seasons as Ben Roethlisberger. Like he's solid. But I think, we just need to get a better defense. We had some cocky Pete. We had Sherman, but they were like they had chips on their shoulders.
They were at the best in their craft at those times.
Jamal Adams
hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
It was a pretty cool, I mean, Bobby Wagner doing what he's doing right now is amazing. I think that we just kind of got to do that again. Do that when that worked. But
and my team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are just floundering. And predictably, after Tom Brady obviously has retired, they still got some elite players at their positions, but it is not even close to being the same. They're obviously in the worst division in football. It's probably not even close. Nobody's over 500. And, Baker Mayfield he's just so meh to me. And I just, you get through the season. Mike Evans wanted a contract extension. They couldn't agree on it before the season started. And he is going to probably leave more than likely. And I think the Bucs are going to be definitely rebuilding. Unfortunately, I've been through too many of them.
Yeah, no, it's a good, Baker Mayfield's, he's a decent player, but he's not obviously Tom Brady. They got Rashad White. Rashad White's looking great.
He's pretty good. He has that explosive first step that you want in that running back. He's good.
He's looking good. Obviously, Mike Evans, and you also have
Chris Godwin.
Your defense, I don't know, probably some good players there, but like I can't think of anyone that's playing that.
Levante David is a big player for them. Shaq Barrett is really good on the defensive line.
Yeah.
They also have Vita Vea, who's one of the better defensive tackles in the league. They have a good safety in Antoine Winfield Jr. They're in their championship run. They had pretty good cornerback play, and now it's pretty average.
Yeah.
It's the same guys, but pretty average. So
I don't know how to bet on the Bucks. I don't know how to bet on the Bucks every week. Every week I'm like, okay, I've got them figured out, and then they either lose or they
either don't score very well, or they lose in a track meet to C.J. Stroud in Houston when C.J. Stroud broke the rookie record for passing yards.
I didn't even bet them on them this week because I don't know how they're going to go. I think they're underdogs this week by like 9 points, and even then I'm like, I don't know what Bucks are going to show up. I can't tell if they're going to keep it close or they're going to get blown out. It's too tough.
I don't think they know what they're going to be week in and week out.
Right.
That's just how I've seen it. They come back to win in Minnesota on week 1, and then they get blown out against Philly on Monday Night Football. They beat the Titans pretty handedly last week. It's hard to predict them.
Agreed. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. We got shout-outs, sir.
Shout out to the Rat Pack Sports Show, and shout out to the Fantasy Football League. One of the guys, Trenton, did tell me that I should talk about Duncan Robinson. He's been playing really well for the Miami Heat. He is a favorite player. He's not a favorite player of mine, but he's a player I do like. And, signing off, huh?
Yeah, we got to sign off as we're at the hour mark. And I just want to say thank you very much, Nick, for coming up here and hanging out.
It's always a pleasure. It's really nice to do it. Your setup is really cool here. Congratulations on over 100K downloads for you. That's amazing.
That's fun.
For a dude in a garage in Enumclaw, Washington. That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I never really thought about that. Is that it is a dude in a garage in Enumclaw, Washington, hitting 100K. I would like everyone else to delete all the downloads if you've downloaded, and then re-download them all again. And then delete all those downloads and then re-download them all. And let's get to 200,000 as fast as we possibly can. Let's get to 250,000.
The fastest growing podcast in the United States.
That was a good
Travis Kenny.
That was a good Alex Jones you just did there. That was a good Alex Jones. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. Please support on the Patreon. Please go check out Rat Pack Sports. And I want to also shout out Nick, who is always working. He's always busy. His phone is always going off, and I told him, flip that phone over if we're going to record, and he flipped it over the entire hour. So thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick.
You're very welcome.
You're all right. Okay, everyone, have a great week, and happy Thanksgiving.
Welcome to the greatest of the greatest, a podcast that you never knew you needed. With interviews from people you have never met, or maybe you have once or twice, asking questions and knowing more than you want to know about them. You are listening to Full